It's the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS.
Let's get right to it. It is time for the top 5 at 6. Talk about a bummer. Yesterday we talked about the fact that Gene Hackman and his wife were found dead in their Santa Fe home. The initial report was nothing suspicious, which couldn't be further from the truth. If not suspicious, it's at least very weird. Gene Hackman and his wife had apparently been dead for quite some time. His wife, partially mummified, is the new word on the street. Oh, wow. This is weeks of these bodies in that house. I hate to even say it, decomposing. There was an open prescription bottle with pills scattered around it where his wife, Betsy, laid. Gene was laying in a mudroom off the kitchen. It looked like to police like he had fallen suddenly. Glasses were thrown off his body. A lot of speculation, and it could be that he fell. You know, at 95 years old, it's not unusual for someone to, as they say, just drop dead. Like, literally. Yeah. And the first report, speculation now is they're looking at it going, she may have walked in, found him dead, and just said, I got to check out too. Took a bunch of pills. And apparently the craziest part of this was it was several weeks before they were discovered. Oh, wow. The 911 call was released. A caretaker for that neighborhood, the subdivision, walked up. The front door was ajar, wasn't even shut, much less locked, and he found the bodies, which must have been pretty rough for him.
Santa Fe 911, what is it? Emergency?
I think we just found one deceased person inside the house. Please send somebody really quick. I'm the caretaker for the subdivision. I'm going to bring him up here.
Is the patient a male or a female?
A female and a male, probably. I don't know, sir. Just send somebody up here real quick.
Do they appear to be awake or alert?
No.
Are they moving at all?
No, dude, they're not moving. Just send somebody up here really quick.
You don't have, like, the actual address of the house of where this person lives?
I have no idea. There's no address. There's a reason why for that.
Okay.
Yeah. Help the dude, man. Send somebody.
Well, yeah, that's some questions, I guess. They probably have a sheet of paper in front of them, much like I do for traffic and weather.
Yeah.
That 911 call sponsor. No. Man, I don't want to make light of this. It's a tragic situation. And no matter, how you look at it, it's just gotten, like you said, Steve, weirder.
It's a strange one, to be sure. Gene Hackman's daughter was given an interview, and she said he's been in great shape. He does Pilates, still does a lot of yoga. But again, at 95, we could all be so lucky to, if that's is the case, just drop dead. You're going about your business, you're in good shape, taking care of yourself, and then all of a sudden the universe goes, hey, that's good. Good run. Appreciate it. Yeah. Number 4 on your top 5 at 6. If you want to live a long life, if you want to stay healthy, have a bunch of kids. A new study says
Really?
A new study says having children is good for your brain, especially having a bunch of children. Parenting and caregiving directly linked to, quote, increased brain connectivity in areas that typically decline with age. My mom would go, yeah, damn straight. I mean, 97 this May, 8 kids later. Well? She's just now experiencing a bit of a slowdown. But 96 really strong years with 8 kids, and she would be the first to tell you, oh, yeah, it's just having all those damn kids. I mean, it just, she didn't have time to do much of anything except just function, and her brain is just sharp as a tack. I'm speaking on behalf of a woman I didn't wake up to ask her thoughts this morning. So far, but I'm just saying.
What about the two of you? Could either of you imagine having more than 2 kids?
No.
I could imagine it, but thankfully I didn't have to live through it. No, I just feel like I got it right,
I can imagine going to prison, as much as the next guy. I've seen movies, I've read books. No, I think as parents, what you get is all you really truly know. I mean, I know this. When my wife and I when our kids were little and they were making friends, and then you'd go to someone else's house. Anytime there was 3 kids, all we felt was, oh, my God. Like, thank goodness that we don't have a third one. Because you'd go to someone's house, and that extra kid, 2 parents, 2 kids, makes perfect sense. You bring that extra kid in there, and it's just like, man, all bets are off. That's how I always saw that.
I'm thinking of that mom I saw in the Target parking lot last fall, was it? and she's walking out, and she has 5 kids with her. I don't know if they're all hers. I'm just going to assume that they are. And she's got the grocery cart. She's got a bunch of birthday balloons. They all get to the kids are running. She's yelling. It's a chaos in the parking lot. I'm watching as suddenly the balloons, all 5 of them, just go floating away. And they all just watch, and she just looks, and the kids look at her, and she goes, "Get in the car."
Yeah, right.
You know, and I took a step in that direction, like I was going to Superman that thing and fly up there and grab her balloons for her. But yeah, it just looks like there's a lot going on there.
I imagine there are people from the 60s and early 70s still telling stories about the Gorman family. Like, they came to the 9 o'clock mass 2 station wagons.
Yeah, I know.
And station wagons back then were big.
Yeah, no kidding. My God, you needed the short bus for the Gorman family, and I'm not implying anything there.
No, it's no offense taken. You'd have to wonder a lot of the decisions made. You got to think to yourself, they didn't have their thinking caps on that day. We told you this story, number 3 in your top 5 at 6 the other day, about a guy in Nebraska. His daughter Caroline, as he calls her, 2-year-old little bundle of joy. The state calls her legal name, which is Unikite 13 Hotel. That was a bizarre situation. This is the biological dad. At the time this baby was born, her mom was a mess in a lot of difficult situations. The child was placed into foster care, and the state gave her that name somehow. The dad was able to retain custody and put her in a healthy environment, and he spent 2 years trying to get her name changed from, again, Unikite 13 Hotel. He finally went public. The story went wide Wednesday, and then yesterday he gets a call from the Social Security Administration in Omaha, and they're like, "Oh yeah, come on in. We'll get that taken care of for you." So the lesson, as always, just got to go public with this nonsense, because nobody wants to admit that they gave your child that name.
I know. Then somebody finally gets off their ass, don't they?
Yeah, that's it. Just a little bit of public shame goes a long way.
It doesn't work with the Cannabis Commission, but anyone else in government, they double down over there at the CC.
Number 2 in your top 5 at 6. Our long regional nightmare is over. The Buick is out of White Bear Lake.
Buick Lake?
White Buick Lake should absolutely be the name. We can all breathe a sigh of relief. After 30 days, the car that had been frozen has been removed. Law enforcement had to fence off the hole where the car was and stick up 1 million warning signs because, of course, we as a society are really stupid.
Yeah, we are.
That was where the car was. Let's walk out there.
Go on,
it's 51 degrees today. You want to go see where that Buick came out of the ice?
Bloody ice. Yeah.
I kind of do. I watched way too much of this live stream of all the news crews.
Yeah, right.
The live stream of them.
Getting the car out, because I was like, well, how the crap do they do this? You can't put a tow truck out there. Obviously, that's going through. So, yeah. That's how a Minnesotan wastes time.
That's a beautiful, that's time well spent. Make no mistake about it. I would imagine you weren't alone in that, Ryder, because something tells me that some of our friends in Farmington were doing the same thing. Good morning, Farmington, Minnesota.
Oh, yeah.
Glad to have you with us. And now your top story for your top 5 at 6. A Minnesota legend has been born. A young man out of northern Minnesota had a big moment Wednesday night. It was a game-winning goal in overtime to send Hibbing Chisholm to next week's state hockey tournament. The goal was fantastic. The kid's a freshman, for crying out loud.
No.
But far more importantly was Whitaker Rewerts, that's his name, his post-game interview. How about a 9th grader getting the post-game interview?
Yeah.
And he went straight to F-Town.
Talk to me a little bit about the resiliency of these guys.
They're a good team. They're a really good team.
Yeah.
These guys.
They're a good team. They're a really good team. They were hard the entire game. Stayed on us. It was a hard game.
Now, to be fair, in the Iron Range up there, I don't think the F-bomb is considered a swear word.
No. If you go to when you're learning about grammar and language and stuff, it's just listed as an adjective. It's just right there. It's he was tall. He was this. It's just right there in the middle of it. What an exciting thing, though, for this kid, 9th grader. I'm picturing myself in 9th grade doing anything on a varsity level athletically. I would have been dropping a lot more than F-bombs. Let me tell you that
Yeah,
right now. I would have been doing backflips. I would have finally pulled off a couple of cartwheels.
Yeah.
Awesome moment. And it just sets me up for, as I've said, for the third year in a row now, I can't believe I'm saying this. I can't wait to watch the high school championship. That's fantastic.
Yes.
It does suck you in.
For everybody who told me in 2023, you're going to love it, I was like, I don't care. And I'm counting the days. I'm really excited about it. It's fantastic.
It looks like, just watching a little bit of the playoff hockey and this young man, that maybe the hockey hair look this year is the slick back look. Might be slick back. I don't know. We'll find out when they introduce the hockey hair.
Looking very forward to it. There's your top 5 at 6 for a Friday morning. As we are rolling into March, Google Trends has posted the latest who, what, where, and when, why questions from February. The most Googled questions. Number 1 question was who won the album of the year, which was Beyonce for Cowboy Carter. I'm happy to know that many people still care about album of the year. I was surprised to see that.
Yeah. I'm just now finding out. Finding out that Beyonce won it. Although I did Google it myself, and I think the reason people are Googling this, have you seen her in a pair of chaps?
Yes, I have.
That's all right.
Yes, I have.
Okay, all right.
Here's number 2. Here's your top what question, and this one cracks me up. What time does the Super Bowl start?
In about 350 days.
Yeah. And by the way, it's the same time every year for as long as I can ever remember. It's 5:30 Central.
6 times.
You did?
Yes.
Man, I got that one down. I just always know. In fact, it's always like 5:32 p.m. Like specifically, it's never different.
Okay.
This year it started at 5:30 p.m. Central Time and ended at 6 p.m. Central Time.
That's being kind. That's a generous assessment of that game. When will PlayStation servers be back up? Oh, you poor little nerds.
Oh my God, I'm embarrassed. I'm an old man. Look at the gray all over my face that's falling off my skull. I'm embarrassed that I freaking Googled this. I was like, on the second day, I was like, all right, what the hell's going on? I pay for the subscription, you know. I know. I was like, where's my PS2 at?
Another question that makes me feel good. I don't care about the answer, but just the fact that people care. Where can I watch the Grammys was the top where Google question. The fact that people are paying attention to music, I mean, that's good news. And then, of course, follow that up with why, the number 1 why question. Why was Taylor Swift booed at the Super Bowl?
You just got to do what Taylor Swift does and shake it off.
Yeah.
That's exactly right. My favorite, the top how question. How tall is Kendrick Lamar? He's a little guy, and by the way, you know how little he cares. My man was wearing bell bottoms in that Super Bowl performance. He's like 5'5" in bell bottoms, which made him look 4'5".
The millennials rejoice.
They did, boy.
We're so excited to see that. I couldn't figure out if all the Googling about the Grammys meant we did or didn't care about that crap.
I mean, what, bell bottoms? Are they back? I'm sorry, I'm a little aloof here. Are they back? I mean, why are we excited about bell bottoms?
Because now every millennial can go pull that crap from the 90s out of their closet and see if they still fit, and then be real sad when they don't.
Yeah, well, we'll do the same thing as Gen Xers. Ours are from the 70s, and they definitely do not fit.
Yeah, my 70s bell bottoms, I use those now as a rag to wipe my forehead.
Yeah.
That's about all they're good for. You know what? Hey, thanks Google for making me feel temporarily and artificially happy that people care about music. Let's have a little look back.
Sports history with the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS.
On this day in 1940, check this out. The first ever televised basketball game was shown. Fordham University hosting the University of Pittsburgh from Madison Square Garden. Wow. There was an experimental station called W2XBS, and they broadcast this game to about 200 homes in New York City.
Okay.
Oh, all right.
In the middle of the game, there was a 20-minute blackout due to technical problems. Imagine what it must have looked like. A black and white image, way more snow than clear spots. One camera, I would imagine, in a fixed position, probably a full second or two behind the fast break. You know what I mean? Like, where's the ball? Follow the ball. I can't find the ball. I guarantee you, though, everyone watching that incredibly archaic broadcast felt like me the first time I ever got into a car with Bluetooth. Oh, my God!
Yeah.
This is amazing! Yeah, they were digging that. 200 homes in New York all look at each other going, I can't believe how far we've come as a species.
We actually have a little audio from that game. Here it is.
So that said, Craig.
Well, and then there's one more.
Yes,
one more
yes.
gone but not forgotten, and that's our sweet Lucy. At the age of 12, she was run over in our driveway.
Oh! Like that? Was she run over like that?
Yeah, that's kind of fun.
The greatest high school basketball audio ever. Oh, poor Lucy.
Yeah.
This day in 1986, baseball commissioner Peter Ueberroth issued 1-year suspensions and also a lot of heavy fines to Keith Hernandez of the Mets, Dave Parker of the Pirates, and 5 other players for cocaine use. The largest drug abuse scandal in Major League history, 21 players in all. Now, imagine, right? Imagine playing Major League Baseball high as a kite on cocaine. Crazy, right? But now imagine returning to baseball without that cocaine. Hell on earth.
Oh, my
for those
God, this
players.
is a slow game.
Those games were 46 hours long each. Oh, my God, that's punishment alone. Oh, you've been playing high? Well, now you're going to play sober. Just mind-gnawing anxiety.
That's like going to a Twins game and not drinking beer.
Yeah, exactly.
Just sitting there and watching it. You know those guys that keep score, box score? Brian Kursky, I'm looking at you.
You can just see Dave Parker in right field in between. Throw the pitch! Throw the ball, damn it! Losing his mind.
It's the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS. It's the KQ Morning Show on Minnesota's Classic Rock, 92 KQRS.
Been spending a lot of time in storage units lately. I've got them. I got a few because of the recent move. You change locations, you change your life, and you end up with extra crap, and you just
20 drum kits.
Yeah, well, there's that too. I didn't want to mention that part.
That's so true.
Just got a bunch of gear, and you're like, it's like the old question: how many of those can you actually play at one time? Shut up! I need all these. But occasionally you go in there and you got to remind yourself, how does this lock work? And then you put it in there and you get it open and you lift the door and then you're like, there's that thing. And you don't know why you saved it, but you're really glad you did, and you forget what's in there. So anytime you go to your own storage locker, there's always a pleasant surprise, or almost always there is one. A call from North Carolina on Monday to the 911 center revealed a very different sort of surprise from a storage locker. Here is a bit of a news report, again, from North Carolina. This happened on Monday.
911, where's your emergency?
I've been locked in the storage unit for about a week now, and I just now found my phone.
Okay, so you're locked in a storage unit?
Yes, my girlfriend locked me in here. She double locked my lock, and I don't know how she put me in here, but she put me in here, and I now found my phone inside this storage unit. I've been here since last week.
He tells the dispatcher his phone is about to die.
I just need out of here. I just can't breathe. I haven't had nothing to drink or anything.
Police say if you could see inside the storage unit, you'd understand how the man lost his phone and all of the stuff and couldn't find it for 5 days.
The officers did describe the storage unit as being a hoarder's paradise type situation. So when they opened the door, things started to fall out. The further they opened it, more stuff fell out.
Hoarder's paradise. May I just comment on the 911 audio there in North Carolina? I don't know what you got cooking, but that's some solid 911 audio. Good quality.
Yes.
Yeah, that's
well, when you have the number of the amount of malfeasance that you get in North Carolina, you need crystal clear audio capabilities.
Okay.
A few thoughts here. Okay, he said the guy walked into his storage unit. They were in an argument, and she told him to get something. Go to the back of the unit. He crawled back in there. Again, it's a hoarder's paradise. The words the cops used. He's crawling over a mountain of crap, and then she slams the door shouting, "This is what you get." Locked it, left, and never went back. And he said it had been a week. It looks like they're saying now 5 days.
All right.
He got in there on Thursday, and he was let out on Monday. That's 5 days without food, but more importantly, without water.
Yeah.
He had his phone with him, however, but
He said he lost it, and that he was just digging around in the dark.
Because of the hoarder's paradise.
Yeah.
Oh, can you imagine 5 days going? I know I dropped it right here at my feet. Or I bet when he was crawling to the back, it slipped out of his pocket or something.
Yep.
And that would be 5 frantic days. I don't know, after 5 days, do you just, because if he had found the phone right away, say within the first 12 hours, I would have some rage in my voice.
Oh, boy.
But after 5 days, I just want to, here's the sound of defeat right here.
Locked in a storage unit?
Yes, my girlfriend locked me in there. She double locked my lock, and I don't know how she put me in here, but she put me in here, and I just now found my phone.
I bet you know why, though, don't you?
Yeah, he does. By the way, since this call, the cops got there. They let him out. He was incredibly overjoyed. Probably drank a gallon of water. But he has since tried to change his story, saying it was an accident and she never knew he was in there. Sounds like it's that's a what would you say? Let's see. There's got to be a book about codependency this guy could look up somewhere.
Yeah.
Get a little insight. Look in the mirror, bud. She doesn't love you. That's not the kind of love you need.
No. Or she loves you too much. There is that when they love too much.
I'm impressed that this man clearly has got the blood of camels flowing through. How do you go 5 days without water? I thought 3 was like the average. I thought the human being thing was 3 days without water and you're done.
I thought so, too. Yeah, I thought you were maxing out at 3 days.
Yeah, the threes. You've got 3 seconds to decide if you want to live, 3 minutes to decide. I don't know. It's the threes. They teach you in survival training in the military. It's all based on threes. You've got 3 minutes and then 3 days and then 3 weeks without human contact, 3 days without water, 3 minutes without, I don't know. It was a long time ago.
And then 3 times got caught cheating on your girlfriend before she locks you in the storage locker.
Oh, yeah. Yes. I thought maybe it was... I told you to clean out that damn storage locker for the last time and then just locked him in there to teach him. Well, he would have died. I mean, she didn't come back for him.
No.
I mean, she wasn't coming back. If he hadn't found his phone, this guy would just be dead in there and decomposing and all that. They would open the storage locker and storage wars. That would have been a fun one.
That's the storage wars episode I want to see.
Yeah.
Let's see what we got in here. Well, it's a bit of an odor. It's kind of pungent. Oh, it's Mike.
Oh.
We locked Mike in a storage locker. That's some revenge, man. That's not revenge served cold either. That's white hot revenge.
Yeah.
Here's what you get, shebang. Not 1 but 2 locks, and then you walk away. You get in your car and you drive away. That is a woman, dude. Trust me, she did you a favor.
Yeah. I drove away, and after day 1, there was no cooling off period like, well, I'm going to go back and let him out. I think he learned his lesson, or I've done a terrible thing. 5 days is, now I've abandoned a man in a storage locker, and he's going to die.
It's pretty intense. I saw something the other day. I was just thinking about revenge. A little bit of a different case, but there was a post and it said a woman said her ex-husband left her for another woman, and she said, I rubbed his pillowcase all over my private area before he picked up his stuff, and he ended up getting a terrible case of pink eye that required antibiotics.
Well, what do you got going on down there?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, hold on a minute. That's an odd transference of pink to pink. I couldn't resist. But this is a whole different thing. This is not spur of the moment. I mean, because you said, Zep, spur of the moment is you lock him in, you go get yourself a Chick-fil-A sandwich, and you turn around and go let him out. No, 5 days later, she was already.
She had an extra lock.
She had a plan.
Yeah.
She had a plan, and she was already living her best life.
Yeah, and apparently, nothing in that storage locker that she wanted. I mean, how do you go back for it after that? Like a month later, like, oh, you know what? I forgot I want that lamp out of there. I wonder if he's still.
Hey! You said you were going to grab that lamp out of storage for me. Have you gone? No, I haven't been there yet. I've been meaning to get there. I tell you what, I'm busy. But stop asking me for the damn lamp. I mean, just the stress, like you can't get away from it.
What if,
man,
they start cleaning that storage locker out and they find a couple other boyfriends in there?
Oh, that would be spectacular. The storage crypt. That's good stuff. This could have been a story from Florida. I mean, we got to admit. Hell, I wouldn't have been surprised if it happened in Texas. I wouldn't have even been too shocked if it was Wisconsin. So with that in mind, how about a little WTF? Wisconsin, Texas, Florida. What in the Wisconsin, Texas, Florida is that? Today's edition brought to you by Brian Zepp. Let's get into it. Brian's going to share some news stories. Ryder and I will try to guess, did this happen in Wisconsin or Texas or Florida? Let's roll, shall we?
Here we go. This first one requires a little setup on my part. I didn't have a local news report to pull from. So here we have a guy who thought it would be a good idea to have his buddies tow him behind his truck on skis down the interstate. He has a beer in his hand, as does the guy recording from the truck. This is Travis.
We were sitting around, getting kind of cold in the house, lost power at about midnight the morning before, and decided, it's like, hey, what should we do? And I was like, I'm looking at these skis sitting in my room, might as well put them to some use. And saw there was still snow on the ground, just drove around, found a good amount of snow right there, and decided to ski it. Honestly, after seeing the video, I was like, I probably should have been a little more cautious, but ski down blacks and double blacks, I mean, can't be that much dangerous. I mean, there's no steep hills, no trees, none of that. It's just looking for cars coming.
Can't be that much dangerous. Sounds like he's already taken a couple of headshots.
I mean, can't be that much dangerous.
All right. Wisconsin, Texas, or Florida?
Well, let's do all three, and then we'll come back with our guesses.
All right. Now, I think these are pretty self-contained. Here we go with the next one.
A story that only God himself could write. That's what administrators are saying about a former strip club in that's now been transformed into a Christian school.
We knew somewhere, sometime God would provide, and he did. We just found that humorous. We took the drywall off of the windows because it was just a darker environment in many different ways. And we've let the light in, and we think of it as the light of Jesus.
Yes. Can I get an amen?
Hey, frickin' men. Yeah. Oh, that's great.
All right. There you go, Wisconsin, Texas.
I love a good redemptive arc.
Yeah, exactly. Not here, however.
And new this morning, a city commissioner just resigned after she was fined $5,000 for making unwanted sexual advances on a former coworker. A state ethics investigation finds credible evidence that Nancy licked the faces of two men and grope one of them. She's also accused of cursing at one of their wives and trying to hit her at a city meeting.
She would grab your genitalia and then lick you from your Adam's apple up across your face, and it just wasn't a pleasant issue, and she did that to show dominance. It's hard to maintain your innocence when there was 6 to 7, maybe even 8 witnesses to the fact that it happened.
All right, come on, one more time.
Lick you from your Adam's apple up.
Wait.
She would grab your genitalia and then lick you from your Adam's apple up across your face. And it just wasn't a pleasant issue. And
no, she definitely established dominance over that wuss bag. You know, I don't go to city council meetings. You know, I don't go. I think of them as fairly mundane, boring even. But I would love to see a woman walk over to some guy up there going, I think we ought to put in a 4-way stop and reduce, and just grab his genitals, lick him from his Adam apple across his face, and say, sit down.
Good Lord.
All right. Well, there are your contestants this morning. Wisconsin, Texas, Florida. Put them in order.
All right. The towing your buddy with skis and drinking beer and looking back, because obviously we're gonna think there's still snow. You're gonna go, it must be Wisconsin. I'm gonna say no. I bet this is like Abilene, top of Texas, near the Oklahoma border, where they do occasionally get snow. Mm-hmm. So I'm gonna say that one's Texas.
I'm sticking with Wisconsin. Wisconsin's my guess on that one. I think that might be a trick one.
That's right. I'm clearly going for that one.
So clearly Wisconsin, so it throws us off. But yeah, I'm sticking with Wisconsin on skiing down the interstate.
All right. The strip club converting to a Christian school. That sinful drywall had to come down. That just sounds like good old vitamin C, sun-enriched Florida to me. I'm going to say that's Florida.
I'm going with Texas on that one.
Okay, all right. The woman grabbing the junk and licking you from neck to nape or whatever the hell that was. That sounds like King's Landing, Queen Cersei from Game of Thrones, actually. So I'm going to say Westeros. No, I'm going to say that. I'm going to say that is Wisconsin right there. You're grabbing junk and licking guys in the throat. You're a Scotty.
I'm going with Florida on that. I think it's just a little too friendly for Wisconsin. Just a little too
friendly.
Yes.
Friendly. That's great. All right.
All right. I like it.
Anyone nail it?
Nobody nailed it this morning, but pretty dang close here. This guy?
More cautious, but ski down blacks and double blacks. I mean, can't be that much dangerous. I mean,
No, it can't be that much dangerous. That guy, Steve, Houston, Texas.
Nice.
A little further south, but yeah, that's a Texas story right there. I tried to throw you off with the skiing down the highway and the beer and all that good jazz.
All right.
Bang.
One for Steve.
That brings us to the light of God.
Light in, and we think of it as the light of Jesus.
Yeah, the light of Jesus. This happened in Wisconsin.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, that's Wisconsin. West Bend, Wisconsin. Over there. I think that's over by Milwaukee. I'd have to look it up on the map, but I'm just that's what I'm thinking.
People in Wisconsin are going, wait, give us the address. We're going over there. What the hell?
Give me the strip club back.
Yeah. That's what I'm
And
saying.
finally, my favorite.
City meeting.
She would grab your genitalia and then lick you from your Adam's apple up across your face. And it just wasn't a...
It confuses him is what it does.
It was oddly attractive and erotic and also disconcerting. She got every bill passed she ever suggested.
Down there in Florida is where that one happened.
One for me.
All right. So what'd you guys, how'd you guys do?
Tied again.
No, I know you hate ties, don't you?
I do. I'm not a fan. Man, I still have like the one solid win, though. I'm pumped about that.
Yeah, you did have that one. The city council passed a 7-way stop. I've never even heard of such a thing, but she just kept putting that vice grip on my junk, and I was like, I didn't even make sense of it. I mean,
oh man, and she looks like a hard woman. Like she might have that one could have been Alaska, like Anchorage.
Yeah,
you know?
really.
She just had that look about her. But all right, there you go. WTF.
For some reason, the guy giving that explanation, I was just picturing Norman Fell as like a Mr. Roper, but no, not Mr. Roper, but his brother when it was Barney Fife came in to play the other Roper guy. That's who I was picturing.
Yeah.
What's Barney Fife? What's that guy's name? Who played Barney Fife? I'm the actor. I'm spacing. What is wrong with me?
I always space. Don't ask me.
Oh my gosh, this is
Don Knotts.
Thank you, my God. I could have made that so much quicker. I could have said it made me think of Don Knotts, and we'd already be out of here. This is a true story, and this is awesome. You'll appreciate it. My sister Ann is still a costumer on like TV series and movie sets, and she can make you a suit in like an hour.
Awesome.
Awesome. And she was working on a Mel Gibson. A Ron Howard film he directed with Mel Gibson called Ransom. Do you remember that? Give it back, my son, that movie. Well, she was working on that film, and they were shooting a day in Central Park, and it was Ron Howard's birthday. Now, Ron Howard is directing the film, and they're on the set, and then all of a sudden, in the middle of a moment, everything shuts down, and everybody starts singing Happy Birthday to surprise the director, Ron Howard. And they have a big cake, and he's like, oh, that's great, guys, because he's still just like Opie Cunningham or Ron, or whatever, Opie Howard and Richie Cunningham. He's all goody two-shoes. And then out of a trailer, the door opens, and Andy Griffith and Don Knotts come out.
Oh, wow.
To recreate the Andy Griffith. I mean, it was Barney and Opie and Andy there together. And my sister said Ron looked up and saw them, and she goes, before Ron Howard started crying, every person on the set started crying. And she said, and then they had the lineup. So everybody on this, like 50 different people working this crew were like, can I get a picture with Opie and Barney and Andy? And they were like, they stood there, the three. My sister has a photo of herself with those guys.
Nice.
Pretty awesome.
That is so awesome. No kidding.
Man. Hey, you know what you can do today? You can meet up with Lisa Miller at Tom Reed's in St. Paul. I should say tonight from 7:30 to 9:30 for a Law Tigers Wild Watch Party. Register to win a custom Wild Indian motorcycle courtesy of Law Tigers, the Minnesota Wild, Twin Cities Indian Motorcycle, MCA Customs, and Lloyd's Garage. Tom Reed's in St. Paul tonight at 7:30. Go hang out with our buddy Lisa Miller. She is the best. The Florida Man Games, remember those? Oh, they're back up and at it. And by the way, as long as we're going to talk about the Florida Man Games, there should be a Minnesota Man Games, don't you think? Minnesota Man. What do you think the events would be for the Minnesota Man Games? 651-989-ROCK is the KQ Talking text line. You can share your thoughts on the Facebook page as well. Hang tight.
It's the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS. It's the KQ Morning Show on Minnesota's Classic Rock, 92 KQRS.
The Florida Man Games are back up and running for the second year in a row.
All right.
Kicking off tomorrow. Following the stupendous success of the inaugural Florida Man Games last year, organizers have had to move it to a much larger venue at the St. Johns County Fairgrounds. Teams of Florida men from all over the state, they come to battle it out, looking for the coveted Snakeskin Championship belt. This is a real thing. It's a real awesome thing. There are a bunch of events that teams participate in, but there's nothing quite like the evading arrest obstacle course. This is the description on the actual website. This is a real competition. Floridians are chased by police after stealing copper pipes and catalytic converters. This is what it says, find the frozen iguana and chuck a gator through a drive-through window to earn a victory and your freedom. Yes!
Oh, man, that is amazing. It does remind me a little bit of a game we played up at the Dirty Rotten Biker Fest years ago, and that was, we had a window frame there, and the guy had to come screaming up on his Harley, stop the bike, jump in the window. His girlfriend would jump on top of him. They would simulate sex for a minute, jump back out the window, jump on his Harley, and take off. And you were timed on that. That was a good one. Let's go back to the inaugural Florida Man Games audio from last year.
Drinking beer, having fun with our friends, and then jousting somebody.
Wild, messy, and hilarious. Alligators, nudity, and drugs. We couldn't get nudity and we couldn't get drugs, but we definitely got alligators out there for sure.
Man, honestly, because I love God and I love America, and I'm here to be a Florida man.
Yeah, that's it right there. God dang right.
Walleye, nudity, and drugs. The Minnesota Man Games coming through next year. Why not?
I like it.
If there were Minnesota Man Games, what would the events be? What would we have to separate us from the Florida Man Games? 651-989-ROCK is your talk and text line. You can also hit us on the Facebook page. Lots of suggestions already. I do want to share one more of the many challenges. That's the Eat the Butt Challenge.
What?
Get your mind out of the gutter. Floridians must finish their pork butt platter in the fastest time to place highest. So it's just a pork butt on a plate, and you sit
kinky.
down, and you just let her rip. I competed in one eating contest in my life, and it was 40 years ago. Who can eat a Domino's cheese pizza the fastest? It was in college in the student center. They just had a thing, and I sat down and I thought, I'm just hungry, so I'm going to enter myself in. They put a 12-inch cheese pizza in front of you, and I did it with a buddy of mine named Steve Johnson. And when the guy goes, and go, he just sat there, and I go, what are you doing? And he's like, I'm just going to take this back to the dorm. He just boxed it up. He goes, man, he just took a few bites and then didn't come close to winning, and then he had a pizza for dinner that night. And I was like, yeah, the people with the brains always win in life.
Isn't that true? I saw a Domino's pizza eating contest on YouTube years ago, and the guy, brilliant, because they're rather thin pizzas, he balled it up about the size of an apple, just took it and crammed it all together, and then just ate it like an apple, and it was gone in about 10 seconds. It was crazy. The KQ Facebook post, Minnesota Man Games, this is amazing. These people, Gary, Juicy Lucy eating contest. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. Because somebody's going to jump in there right away and burn their mouth when the molten lava.
A lot of blistering in that one.
Jed makes a good point. I'd say deer dragging through the woods, but nowadays they use ATVs, skid loaders, and such. Carla, I'm going to kiss you, biting the head off a live smelt. A tradition when smelting. I don't know if you know what smelting is, but they're not talking about heating up iron ore here. We're talking about the little game fish. Think sardines, little smelts. I only did it one time. We go up to Superior and just dip nets, and you pull these smelt out. And if it's especially your first time, you got to bite the head off one.
Is that real?
Oh yeah,
do this?
Absolutely, I did it, but unlike my buddy Chad, who barfed all over the place.
Okay, hold on now. Bite the head off and spit it out, or bite the head off and swallow it?
No, you got to eat it, man. You know, spit it. Most people spit it out, but yeah, you gotta do it, man. Ice fishing, no ice house. You get a bucket, an auger, 2 tip-ups, and a box of beer, and you have to drink the beer in the cold.
I would watch that. I'd live stream that.
This one might be a little slow. 4 vehicles at a 4-way stop. Not who goes first, who goes last? You just keep waving them on. Just the wave. No, you go. No, you go.
This is
cornhole.
Here's a great one on the talk and text line. Minnesota game suggestion, the long goodbye contest. Competitors begin the goodbye process at the front door, move to the driveway, and finish leaning into the car window. Points for duration and number of small talk variety. That is outstanding.
Go for days.
It all starts with, well, I suppose.
Yeah.
And that means you've got about a half hour then till that person actually gets out the day. I love the leaning in the window touch. This is great, Aaron. Minnesota man cave category. Nobody puts together a man cave like they do in Minnesota. I have man cave envy. I go over to guys' places. I was talking about my buddy Wayne Apple, who's a big Beatles fanatic.
Yeah.
He's listening, texted me this morning. He said, you got to see it now. There isn't a Hard Rock Cafe on the planet that could do it justice, but his man cave is, those man caves are, I have envy. Mine's just full of piles of laundry, Every once in a while I'll stick a motorcycle in there, but that's about it.
I like Justin's post. I think driving down a highway without being a jackass would be interesting to see.
Well, I guess who's out in the commute this morning?
Yeah, there is that one. And then let's see. Daniel, several submissions. The cattle killing carnival, the Bremerville alcoholic softball tournament. That's pretty good. The Packer bashing booth. Okay.
All right.
Plenty of suggestions there.
Mike, writing your name in the snow. Absolutely.
Yes.
And we know how you do that, right?
It's real tough
Whip
for
it
the
out.
ladies. Yeah.
By the way, this is from going back to Florida Man, though. I forgot to mention my favorite, another one of my favorite actual events in the Florida Man games: the Hurricane Party Prep Grocery Aisle Brawl. Floridians must battle it out against each other to get the last of the hurricane prep and party supplies on the shelf.
We just switch it to snowstorm prep, and there you go.
That's exactly right.
I mean, if we only had someone organized and had their crap together that could help us do this summer. I'm not looking at Steve. I think this has got to happen, doesn't it?
It'd be pretty fantastic. The inaugural Minnesota Man games. That'd be fantastic. I'm all for it. Here's a Minnesota Man competition. You dress like James Brown. You play guitar like Jimi Hendrix. You wear like Victoria's Secret model clothing.
All right.
You write songs like a hybrid Paul McCartney and Sly Stone. That's a Minnesota Man that I can think of. Well, one.
Yeah.
Is it Prince?
That's Prince.
Okay.
That'd be Prince, yes. I mean, he was a Minnesota man, That'd be kind of cool. I'd like to see that. You can dance like James Brown and play like Hendrix. All right, you're in. That's round one. Mm-hmm. Now, can you put on a thong and a fur coat and wear it convincingly with heels? Okay, that's good. Now, can you write a great song?
I
don't think
there's only one of them.
Not too many folks are going to survive the grueling first few heats of that competition. Hit us up 651-989-ROCK. Minnesota Man competitions, suggestions, no shortage of those, I am sure. We talked earlier in the show about a woman who locked her boyfriend in a storage unit for 5 days. He was locked in for 5 days till he found a cell phone and was able to call 911. Revenge, a dish best served cold, as they say. That one was super hot. Revenge, also an important part of revenge, is know who you're dealing with and know what kind of car they drive. Real important tip. Hang tight.
Connect with us on the KQ Talk and Text line. 651-989-ROCK. That's 651-989-ROCK. 92 KQRS.
AC/DC. They're going to be at the U.S. Bank Stadium in April, and I will be there rocking, because that's what I do when I go see AC/DC. I rock, and I roll, and I pump my fists, and I go nuts. I saw them, first time I saw AC/DC was 1988, and I remember thinking, I missed it. They're too old now. It's too late. I should have seen the real, the greatest version of the band, blah, 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 blah. I went down to see them in 1988, and I took the train to the arena, and I got onto a train, and it sounded like an 80s English hooligan soccer fan train. Before the train pulled into the station, you could hear, AC/DC, AC/DC, AC/DC. And the doors opened.
Yeah.
It was packed like sardines. And me and my two buddies, we just jammed ourselves in and just started going, AC/DC, AC/DC. It was insane. It was one of my it was the greatest, this is what it's supposed to be like in life. You're supposed to be on a train with drunk people chanting AC/DC. Life finally makes sense.
Yeah, working in classic rock, I've been spoiled. You get the concert tickets. One of the reasons you get into this business, right, is to get the free concert tickets.
It ain't
So
funny.
No, high five. But so you get a little spoiled, and now when I go to shows, I'm like, I'm not acting like some moron at the Who show. I'm just going to sit here and take it in like I'm too cool, except when I see AC/DC. Last time I went there, you're 15 again, and you're just a freaking idiot. You drink just a bit too much and wonder, did they do an encore last night? But yeah, I mean, they still bring it.
They bring it, and thankfully the vendors bring beer, and we all have a good time. Oh, baby. There must have been some AC/DC playing when a girl in Florida got a little hot under the hood, as they say, heated up. First things first, you read these news stories, and they say an 18-year-old woman, and right away I go, I'm sorry. I've never met an 18-year-old that's a woman in my life. I have a 22-year-old daughter who's a girl still. They're a kid.
Yeah, that's fair.
I mean, I know legally, you're like I always used to say. When I turned 18, I remember going like, wait. If I kill someone, I get the chair. I'm a knucklehead. I'm not an adult.
Yeah.
You can't try me for adult crimes. I'm only 18. I was aware of that in the 80s. But anyway, all this to say, an 18-year-old girl in Florida was arrested because she had a bad breakup. She broke up with a boyfriend. He still owed her $700. I mean, when you break up, you got to clear the debt. I mean, seriously, you can't break up in debt to somebody. You got to say, here's your money, and now we're done. Yeah. I mean, so I get she's a little pissed off about that. She's jilted. She's out of cash, and she decides, well, I'm going to do the right thing. I'm going to get him back by vandalizing his car.
Oh.
That's right.
Babe. Yeah.
And then she enlisted her friend, who's only 16 years old. And they decided, we're going to egg and spray paint this douchebag's car.
That's expensive with eggs these days.
Yeah, that sure is. They did it. They egged and spray painted this douchebag's car.
Okay.
About $5,000 worth of damage.
Oh, that's a lot.
Only problem there was one problem. The douchebag's car was the neighbor douchebag, not the ex-boyfriend's douchebag. They got the wrong car. I don't know. It's a Camry or a Corolla. It's one of those. I don't know. Just do it. You got to know which car you're going for.
Oh, man. I think the cop steals this audio here. We don't hear from her, but here's the arresting officer and the guy whose car got egged and spray painted.
You really need to try harder to try to be sneaky because you are god-awful. You guys spray painted the wrong damn car.
First of all, I'm not Jason, bro. Like, you know that. I'm Jonathan. That wasn't me. It's crazy, too. Like, they chose the perfect color. The perfect color to pop off of black. You're 18. There's no point to ruin your life this early over a guy.
I like he throws in a compliment in there. You see what he's doing. Yeah. It's his buddy or someone he made. I'm not that guy. I'm the other guy. But, I mean, once you get out of jail, maybe you look me up because you're kind of pretty. And
sure.
I mean, that was a wonderful, bright neon yellow there. I see poo and devil. I mean, they covered this car big and bad and just was the wrong car.
By the way, when the deputies did find this young woman, she was driving. She had open containers in the car. Again, she's 18. There was a charge of criminal mischief contributing to the delinquency of a minor, possession of alcohol under 21, DUI, because the minor, who was 16, also charged with possession of marijuana over 20 grams. Drinking, smoking in your teens after damaging the wrong car, not to mention the right car. That's a Florida woman weekend right there.
Yeah, I see your last name is Fabianski. Is that it? Well, you're sure this isn't Wisconsin? All right, never mind. We'll move along here. But, she could use that $700 now and a bunch more, I think.
There's got to be a feeling, though. If I were to walk out one morning and my car, after a breakup, and my car were destroyed, I would feel like, God, I guess she really did love me. I mean, there'd be a side of me where I'd be like, maybe I should give, maybe there was more here than I realized.
I'll tell you what, I walked out and saw my motorcycle, and my motorcycle tank had been smashed in.
Oh, that's right.
With a ball-peen hammer, my own hammer, by the way. Don't ever just leave a hammer laying around when you've got a Psycho X running around. That's not the feeling I had, Steve. All I thought to myself was, thank God it's a Kawasaki. No, I love a Cowie.
It's been so long since I had a tough breakup. I mean, you got to go back to the 1980s, really, or
yeah.
But
I mean, the thing about it would be the suspense, right? Like she's crazy. You know she's gonna do something. Are you at least a little bit relieved when you walk out and see, oh, it's just the car, or oh, it's just the Kawasaki?
Sure.
Yeah, not my life. Yeah, she didn't jump out of the bushes and cut my throat.
I had a situation this is a few years ago where it wasn't obviously a relationship I was in, but I took my daughter and her friend to the fair, like this is 6 or 7 years ago in Nashville. Went down to the Wilson County Fair, big fair, not as big as the Minnesota State Fair, but a very big one. And my daughter and her buddy are riding rides, and I'm keeping the 50 feet, 60 feet distance because they're cool and I'm a dad, so I gotta I don't want to not make them they got to be cool girls together at the fair, and I'm just making sure that I don't lose eyesight, but I can't get near them because I'm just a dorky.
Have that buffer.
Yeah, I'm the dorky dad. And so they're in line for a ride. They're in a line that's going to take like 30 minutes, but they don't care. So I'm looking around, and I see a little kiddie ride, and as I'm scanning just the fairgrounds, I notice probably 30 feet away there's a woman, and she's just drilling a hole through me. Ooh. Right? Like, and attractive woman, tall, like 5'10", brunette, and she's just glaring at me, and I just scan past, don't stop. I pick it up immediately, and I'm like, and then in my brain, I'm like, okay, I definitely flagged that. And then there's the thing of like, oh, maybe that's a Black Crowes fan. Because I do, occasionally when someone's making me out, they're like, oh, I know the look. And so then I wait a few seconds, and then I scan back, like the Battlestar Galactica eye scanner, left to right. And then as I flash back over, definitely still staring at me. And I'm like, no, that's not the look of a fan. Oh. And then I'm like, do I know her? And then the third scan, I'm like, no, I've never seen her before. I don't know what's going on. When I turn for the fourth scan, probably 2 minutes later, she's standing right next to me, like in a horror film. Like, And I look at her, and I go, how you doing? She goes, do you have a cousin named Jeffrey? And I heard what she said, and I go, I'm sorry. At the time, I was doing sports talk, and my cousin Jeffrey was my co-host. We're together every day, and I said, I'm sorry, what? And she goes, you have a cousin named Jeffrey? And I said, yeah, as a matter of fact, I do. I said, oh, do you know Jeffrey? And she goes, oh, I know Jeffrey. And I'm like, oh, well, cool. And I'm just thinking like, man, this is really whatever's going on here. And she goes, you tell him Cecilia said hello. And she just stomps off. And I text my cousin immediately, and I go, Cecilia says hi, and he texts back immediately, stay away from that one. There's a gun in her purse.
Oh, she's a fun one.
And I'm like, how am I in the middle of this? I get to the station Monday, and I didn't see him over the weekend. Monday, I walk in and I go, hey, man, he just puts his hand up. He goes, we're not going to talk about her. I'm like, I felt threatened at a fair. So he goes, trust me, just steer clear. And I never got the details. I never wanted the details. Man, and by the way, that's people in their 40s. That's not 18-year-olds. That's grown adult divorced people trying to kill each other. So these things happen.
Yeah.
Hey, 92 KQRS would love to send you to see Pearl Jam's Dark Matter Tour 2025. That's in Nashville this spring. Enter to win round-trip airfare, a 2-night stay, premium tickets, as well as Dark Matter Lounge passes, plus some very special Record Store Day vinyl and a bunch of other Pearl Jam merch, all for this exclusive tour for you and a friend. Text the national keyword strangers to 95819. Strangers to 95819. Your top 5 at 9. Coming up, hang tight.
It's the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS. It's the KQ Morning Show on Minnesota's Classic Rock, 92 KQRS.
Stone Temple Pilots. Why did we think they were grunge? What was wrong with us? They got lumped in with all the grunge bands in the mid-'90s. And they were just a good old rock band.
We didn't know where to put them. You can't put them in the hair band. That thing was over.
Right.
You guys were handling the classic rock, southern rock thing. You couldn't put them in there. You got to put them somewhere, Steve. We have to be able to point at them and go, they're grunge. They got to be classified. You can't have your own lane. in music.
How dare they do their own thing?
Yeah.
What the hell are they thinking? I'm a big fan of that band. I liked them at the time, but I like them a lot better now. Probably because there's not a competitive thing of like, But I remember, that song, Interstate Love Song, the first time I heard it, I remember just thinking, oh, I wish that was our song.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good one. That's a really good one. It's Friday morning. It's the end of February. Let's get into your top 5 at 9, shall we? Number 5 in your top 5 at 9. We talked yesterday about the loss of Gene Hackman, one of the great actors in Hollywood history, 95 years old. He and his wife were found dead in their Santa Fe home. More details came out. The initial report said, nothing suspicious about this. Didn't look like there was any signs of malfeasance. That was not exactly true. It sounds weird to say what I'm about to say. Gene Hackman and his wife partially mummified, meaning they had been dead for a while. Been a couple weeks, I think, since anybody can report having spent time with them. The front door was unlocked and actually a little ajar. A maintenance man or a person who oversees part of the area, where they lived in a very nice subdivision, if you will, walked up and said, hey, what's going on in here? Made the 911 call. You can only imagine what was going through this guy's mind. We have a little piece of that.
Santa Fe 911, what is it? Emergency?
I think we just found one deceased person inside the house. Please send somebody really quick. I'm the caretaker for the subdivision. I'm going to bring him up here.
Is the patient a male or a female?
A female and a male, probably. I don't know, sir. Just send somebody up here real quick.
Do they appear to be awake or alert?
No.
Are they moving at all?
No, dude, they're not moving. Just send somebody up here really quick.
You don't have the actual address of the house of where this person lives?
I have no idea. There's no address. There's a reason why for that.
Okay.
Unlisted.
Hackman was found, they were not together, he and his wife. Their bodies were found in different parts of the house. He was in a mudroom off the kitchen, and police said from the looks of it, he fell suddenly. Glasses were thrown from his body. It sounds like he just dropped dead. 95 years old, wouldn't be a surprise to think he's just going about his business, and then bang, fully clothed, just on the floor. His wife was in another part of the house on the countertop next to where she was found. There was an open bottle of pills with pills kind of strewn all about. And right now, it's all still speculative. It's going to be several weeks before the coroner says he'll have any idea really what the cause of death was. But at the end of all this, it's a little weird.
Yeah, the dog too. That's weird.
The dog, one of 3 dogs. 2 dogs were still alive. So
I didn't play all that 911 audio, but while he was sitting there, just sort of, you could tell he was hyperventilating a little bit. The guy that made the call, you could hear the other 2 dogs barking in the background. So just one of the 3 dogs dead. But you think about maybe the pills scattered around, and it's all speculative at this point, but.
At the end of the day, what we have is one of the great actors of all time no longer with us. Gene Hackman was you can't find a role that guy played where he wasn't great. Even if the movie's not very good, it's like, well, he was just always top notch. Man, what a run he had. Number 4 on your top 5 at 6. Hey, if you got a bunch of kids, get ready for a long, mentally healthy life. A new study shows that having children is good for your brain, and having a whole lot of children is really good for your brain, because parenting, general caregiving, is linked to increased brain connectivity in areas that typically decline with age. So as you're childless or only parents of a few children, as those friends of yours start to age and parts of their brain start to slow down, if you have 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 kids, you're just still sharp as a tack. So fair play. You give up your 20s and 30s and you trade them in for a very slow 80s and 90s.
There goes that old line, right? You guys your kids are taking years off my life. You see my hair turning gray?
That's right.
I heard that from my parents.
One. Yeah. I don't have any more hair on my head. It's because of you, kid.
Man, there was 8 Gormans, and where I lived until I was 10, I lived in just outside of Baltimore, Maryland, and in our neighborhood, Severna Park, on our very street, 8 kids was absolutely average. Like, not that big a deal. Oh, my God. The DeStefanos had 9. There was a family at the end of the block with 14.
Wow.
There was an 11, a 10, a 10. I mean, the number of giant families in that neighborhood, looking back now, it's a astounding to me. I have my brother Jim had 4 kids. And that's a lot, man. The rest of us looked at him like 4. Whoa, dude! Like, man,
might have been a mistake in there, or a surprise, not a mistake.
No, there was a surprise. In fact, I told the story. Not only was their 4th child a surprise, his wife, my sister-in-law Bev, she told Jim she was pregnant. As he told her, "Hey, I finally booked that vasectomy." She said, "You can." She goes, "You can hold off a while." Yeah.
Timing
looks like the goalie was asleep on the job the other day. Two kids for me and Rosemary was perfect. She's the youngest of 7. I'm the youngest of 8, and we were both like, "Hey, we got a boy, and then we got a girl, and like let's
the whole set."
Yeah, that's it. We're good. Let's get a dog. Let's get a dog and a cat and call it a day.
Very cool, too. I think this is on topic. I just heard this morning and love it. It's from Tom Papa's Netflix special last year, just about kids. I think this sums it up about as good as you can possibly put it.
And now it's putting family in perspective for me, you know, now that my kids are leaving. You have these kids, they take up the whole house, and then before you know it, they're on their way out. And they don't even remember the first 5 years that you did all that stuff for them. They have no memory of it. Then the last 4 years are just trying to get away. So you get, like 8 years in the middle? I'm not sure it's worth it. I told my daughter before she left, just so you know, I did all of this for you. I didn't want this house. I didn't want to live in this town. I didn't want any of these animals. I don't even have friends anymore. All my friends are your friends' parents.
Yeah.
I did this all for you. And now you're going to go? I should go. You can have it all.
That's got a great ending here.
Yeah.
Just give me a backpack with a Van Halen CD and some weed, and I'll go back to living the life I was living before I met you.
Yeah.
Man, it's funny. Rosemary and I have had that conversation where we look back and we're like, remember that time when it dawned on us, like, we don't even have our own friends anymore? Like, by the time, the youngest is in 1st grade and the oldest is in 3rd grade, it's like all of our social time is with their friends' parents. How in the hell did this happen? You don't even realize you're falling down that slope. And then, of course, it was like, okay, hold on. Okay, we're going to back this off. We got to get back into the world where most of our friends are stoned and they don't have their own kids. And, and then, right away you're like, oh, okay, it still fits. Okay, it's like you find that old pair of shoes. You're like, I hope these still. Oh, perfect.
Yeah, it was. Life presented me with that, and I remember what had happened. Just as Sid graduated and was heading out into the world, I got canned from my job. And I was like, oh, okay, so now both my kids have left the state of Minnesota that they were born and raised in. I don't have a job. Can I leave? Can I go to Montana? I mean, who am I asking? There's no one else in the room. I'm the only one here. I can do whatever I want. But it takes you by surprise a little bit that you can, make some own decisions for yourself. Yeah. You get some freedom back, and then you always come back to Minnesota. Always come back.
I can't begin to imagine. And I tell you what, the only time I've had anything like that recently was when I first got to Minnesota myself a couple years ago. I came up in January, first week of January, and it was mid-February before Rosemary got here. Now, we're still talking on the phone every day.
Yeah.
I'm back in Nashville every other weekend, but for about 6 weeks, I would, I'd leave, do the morning show. We're starting to get it going, and I'd do whatever I have to do. By the time I'd get back to the place here in town, I'd walk in and I'd be like, I don't know what to do. It's like there's not a dog, there's not even a cat, there's not a woman. There's not an adult human to look at and go, am I weird? I mean, I had no idea. I was like, this is, just living by myself. I'm like, I always wanted to watch that 1988 slam dunk contest again. I mean, it was
you can watch it, man.
Yeah, but it's so. I'm like, I should be out meeting people and finding new cool things in my new city. And then I was
like,
overrated. Like, I think I'll just watch season 2 of Patriot again.
Yeah. Yep.
Number 3 on your top 5 at 9. We've all, have we experienced a lot of crazy things at sporting events. This is probably as good as it gets. A German football match, lower tiered. It's professional soccer, but it's not like the big Bundesliga. It's a lower tier. You've got 2 teams. One is called FC Taxi 2, and the other is Rot-Weiß Mulheim 3. I don't know what any of that means, but they're playing a match. They're getting ready for the game to start. The referee stands on the field, and as referees do, he's checking over the team's lineup. He has to make sure you have the proper cleats. He's just talking to the players. And one of the players for one of the teams, his family was in attendance. He has a little child. This little child runs up to the ref, sees him. The ref looks down, notices a little toddler standing there. And, the kid decided to bite the referee. Now maybe he's heard his father say things like, "I hate this referee."
Sure.
The kid took matters into his own hands. He went ahead and bit him on the nutsack.
No.
Wow.
He went right in. Here's the refereeing report, which the referees have to file in writing. While I was checking the FC players' IDs, a small child was doing warm-up exercises alongside the players. He came closer and then suddenly, to my complete surprise, gave me a sharp bite in my left testicle. Bit him in the nut, and they had to cancel the match. He could not continue. That's how sharp a bite it was.
Oh, well, those little kids got those sharp little choppers. They're like little puppy dogs,
This is why we should hate kids.
Yes.
Man. Can you imagine that? 1 minute you're refereeing a soccer game,
What?
and the next minute you're saying to someone, "No, really, that child just bit me in the ball."
What kind of child have you raised, for crying out loud? They just bites a guy in the nut?
And he happened to know it was the referee, too. That's, I mean,
All right, fair enough.
A lot of
yeah.
adults he could have gone after. Something tells me that was a targeted strike. Number 2 in your top 5 at 9. We can all breathe a deep sigh of relief. The Buick has been retrieved from White Bear Lake, ladies and gentlemen.
There we go.
A car that was stuck there on January 27th has finally, as of February 27th, been removed. This was a big, big deal. 30 days of a car stuck in the lake. Law enforcement then fenced off the hole where the car had been and stuck up a whole bunch of warning signs because God knows when you pull a car out of a frozen lake, the first thing a lot of people want to do is walk out there and look at the hole.
Yeah.
No. Please stay away. This is not as safe
Polar
as you might
plunge,
think.
man. No, don't do that. By the way, I just read this morning that the company that came in and did this, because I was like thinking to myself, if you're driving a Buick out on the White Bear, you probably can't afford the thousands of dollars I would imagine it would take to extract this thing. This tow company, I'm looking for their name. They deserve a shout out. I don't have it in front of me, but they did it for free out of the goodness. They just decided to, you know what, we're going to go help this person out and get that damn wreck out of the ice. So, tip of the cap, private towing company pulled the Buick out of 14 feet of water for free.
Very, very nice. And White Bear Lake can go back to being White Bear Lake. White Buick Lake had a minute, but the sun has set. Hey, want to give a shout out to Deep Haven, our friends in Deep Haven out there, a little west of town out there on the lake, on the water. Super nice part of the world. Good gracious. Don't complain. You live in Deep Haven.
No, they've got Bug Island. Isn't that over off right there in Deep Haven, where you can't park your car because it's too fancy? Get out of here.
Yeah, you can't. You guys can't complain. We complain.
Yeah.
You can't. That reminds me. I was on tour once in Paris, France, the city of light, and my keyboard player Eddie Harsh, who lived in Detroit, Michigan. We were walking up the street, and this guy was what they would now say an unhoused Parisian was yelling at us, asking for money. And then Ed gave the guy like a couple of francs at the time, and the guy started just complaining. And he goes, if he spoke English, he's like, "You don't know how hard my life is." And Ed goes, "Dude, look where you live. I live in Detroit." And it was, like we were in view of the Arc de Triomphe, and you could see all. It was just one of those things where I was like, and the guy looked at me and goes, "I hear Detroit's not so great." Even a homeless guy in Paris is like, "Yeah, you're right. I'm messed up." That was exactly right. Number 1 in your top 5 at 9. A legend has been born in Minnesota high school hockey. The Hibbing Chisholm team is heading to the state hockey tournament because of an overtime goal, a game-winning goal in OT from a kid named Whitaker Rewerts. He's a freshman, a 9th grader, put his team into the state tournament. And after the game, of course, because this is what you normally do with 14-year-old boys, you give them a TV interview, and here's what he had to say.
Talk to me a little bit about the resiliency of these guys.
They're a good team. They're a good team. They're a really good team. They were hard the entire game. stayed on us. It was a hard game.
Yeah, then he keeps talking, but I don't think. Yeah, how complimentary, exactly. I like the guy interviewing him, too, another young guy up there on the microphone. Didn't even flinch, just asked the next question. I don't think that's a swear word on the Iron Range.
No. There are F words up there, but that's not one of them.
Yeah.
There's your top 5 at 9 for a Friday.
Connect with us on the KQ Talkin' text line. 651-989-ROCK. That's 651-989-ROCK. 92 KQRS.
Mysterious Ways from U2. I took my son to see that band in 2011 or 12. They had the craziest stage production I've ever seen in the middle of a stadium, like a giant spider-looking thing with legs.
Oh, yeah.
It was amazing. And what happened throughout the show was they'd start the next song, and you'd go like, oh God, this one too. Like you just, you know, in my mind, it's like, they got like 8 giant hits, or 18 or 24, or what. But I remember when they kicked into Mysterious Ways, that I was like, okay, seriously, enough, guys. Uncle.
Yeah, no kidding. They did that show over here. It's Huntington Bank Stadium, TCF at the time. Yeah. Outdoor show, obviously, with the big claw over there. And it downpoured the entire show. Right. And they did not. It came out doing dancing or singing in the rain, rather. And had a little fun. Did Purple Rain with the purple lights and everything. Yeah. If you can't get out of it, get into it. Yeah. One hell of a show and a lot of wet T-shirts walking around that show. I was going to say, you know.
I don't doubt that for a second. All right, it's the weekend's upon us. Ryder, what you going to do?
Okay, so this is going to get a little bit awkward here, but you got to travel with me. Steve, earlier, do you remember you were telling a story about Don Knotts and Ron Howard and your sister celebrating like the really cool birthday thing that they did? Well, and it was real hilarious, and I think if you go listen back to the podcast, I don't think I laughed once. And the reason is because I know exactly when Ron Howard's birthday is. It's March 1st. It's the same as Justin Bieber's and mine. So
wow.
So as
are you all related?
So as you're telling this story, it's like the blood is leaving my face. I'm like, those dudes know, and like something is going to happen. Like a marching band is going to come in, or somebody's going to throw a cake in my face. Or I'm like, they figured it out. I don't know how they did it. They cracked the code. And just as a producer, that freaks me out because I don't like it when I don't know what's going on. So I'll be celebrating my birthday this weekend. And it's Mr. Ryder's birthday is just a little bit after mine, so it was kind of like birthday weekend thing. Got a hotel downtown with a hot tub because the dude loves a hot tub. So
you thought enough of us that we thought enough of you to figure out when your birthday is to surprise you. So I'm touched and horrified.
I didn't think that until you started going into the Ron Howard thing. I'm like, there's no way that they can get something done. And then I was like, oh my goodness, they did.
I will forever think of you as the Ron Howard of the KQ Morning Show.
I was never so relieved as when you just like threw it to break.
The awkward part is going to be 1 year from today when I'm surprised again that your birthday is March 1st.
Yeah.
They're going, it's your
I
birthday.
thought it was May. I thought I had May 11th for some reason. Zepp, what do you got? What you going to do?
Kid. Well, it's a big weekend. I can't get into specifics because I don't know specifically, but it is one of those rare weekends. I'm getting both the Zepp girls in one place. And so we're going to get together. Yes, very excited. Doesn't happen a lot, so there'll be a lot of laughing, a lot of eating, and several times where I will sneak away and sleep because I don't believe they do when they're together. Right. So very much looking forward to the weekend.
Excellent.
That's fantastic. Steve? I'm walking out of here. I'm heading to the aeropuerto, which is what I say when I want to pretend I'm actually going to Mexico. But no, I'm gonna go. I'm just going down to Nashville. I'm gonna check in on my mom, who's not been in the best of shape lately, and see a couple of other friends for a quick day. Turn right back around. I'll be back here tomorrow night. It's one of those things you just got to do. So, but you know what? It's a good thing. And just going to go to the airport and not think about all the news lately and get on a plane and it'll take off and it'll land. And it's all going to be good.
Yes, it will.
Yeah. So, but it'll be nice to see the people I need to see. Next week on this show, Kostaki Economopoulos.
Nice.
Oh.
Yes.
I love it. I haven't talked to him in a while.
If I gave it a half a second, I would have pronounced it wrong.
Nailed it.
He's at Acme next week, and he'll be joining us. We'll also be giving away Minnesota Wild tickets. Chris Nelson's coming up with a shot for you to see Dee Snider and Lita Ford at Treasure Island. Hang tight.
Get the KQ Morning Show podcast wherever you listen. 92 KQRS.